Close your eyes and think of the story we all grew up hearing. A poor girl locked away by her cruel stepmother, a fairy godmother who grants her a wish, a grand ball, a charming prince, a glass slipper, and a happily ever after. It's one of the most beloved fairy tales ever told, Cinderella. But what if I told you this story was never just a fairy tale? What if I told you that Cinderella was real? Her name wasn't Cinderella. Her name was Rhodopis. And her story began not in a magical kingdom but in ancient Egypt, thousands of years before Disney ever existed. Rhodopis, her name means rosy-cheeked in Greek. She was born in a small village by the sea, a girl full of laughter, light, and dreams. But one morning those dreams were shattered forever. Pirates attacked her village. They burned homes, captured families, and tore people away from everything they loved. Among those cries was Rhodopis. She was dragged from her home, calling out for her parents, but no one could save her. The pirates threw her onto a ship, chained among other captives, and sailed across the Mediterranean to Egypt, a land of gold, gods, and endless deserts. There, in a bustling slave market, she was sold like an object to a wealthy Egyptian merchant. From that day, her life was no longer her own. In her master's house, she worked from sunrise to sunset, scrubbing floors, grinding grain, fetching water, doing the dirtiest work no one else wanted to do. She was different from the others. Her skin was pale, her hair lighter, her accent foreign. The other servants mocked her, laughed at her, and treated her cruelly. But Rhodopis never fought back. She stayed quiet, humble, and kind. Every night when everyone else had gone to sleep, she would slip outside, gaze at the moon above the Nile, and whisper softly, "One day, I'll be free." Days turned into months, and months into years. Rhodopis worked hard and remained gentle, even when the world was not. One morning, her master noticed her patience and grace. Perhaps he pitied her. Perhaps he saw something pure in her heart. So he gave her a gift, a pair of beautiful golden sandals. They shimmered in the sunlight like nothing she had ever owned. To anyone else, they were just shoes. But to Rhodopis, they were everything. They were a symbol of hope, proof that she was still human, still worthy of beauty. Whenever she finished her chores, she would go to the riverbank, wash her feet in the cool water, and dream of the world beyond her slavery. One afternoon, something strange happened. As she bathed by the Nile, she noticed a shadow gliding across the water. She looked up and saw an eagle, wings wide, circling above her. In a sudden rush, the bird swooped down, and before she could move, it snatched one of her golden sandals in its claws. Rhodopis gasped, watching as the eagle soared into the sky, her sandal glimmering like a ray of sunlight. She stood there stunned, her heart racing. What did it mean? In her heart, she felt a whisper. This was no accident. Far away in the great city of Memphis, Pharaoh Amasis sat upon his throne. He ruled the land of the Nile, the most powerful man in Egypt. But that day, as he gazed over his kingdom, something extraordinary happened. The same eagle appeared above the palace and dropped something into his lap. It was the golden sandal. The pharaoh looked down at it in awe. He held it up to the light and said, "This is no ordinary thing. This is a sign from the gods." He stood and commanded his guards, "Search the entire kingdom. Find the woman whose foot fits this shoe. She shall be my queen." And so began one of the greatest searches in ancient history. Messengers rode across deserts, through cities, and along the Nile, showing the golden sandal to every woman they met, rich and poor, noble and servant, princess and peasant. But no one could wear it. The sandal fit no one. Rumors spread quickly through Egypt. Who could she be? People whispered. A goddess? A spirit? Someone chosen by the gods themselves? For days the search continued, until the soldiers arrived at a quiet house by the river, where a young slave girl was washing clothes. They showed the sandal to the women of the house. The other servants laughed. "Her? She's just a slave," they said mockingly. But the soldiers insisted that every woman must try. Rhodopis trembled as she took the sandal in her hands. Her heart pounded. Slowly, she slipped it onto her foot, and it fit perfectly. The laughter stopped. The soldiers stared, astonished. They bowed before her and said, "Come with us. The pharaoh is waiting." When Rhodopis entered the palace, every eye turned toward her. The marble floors glowed under torchlight. The walls shimmered with gold. She stood there in her simple linen dress, barefoot, her golden sandal in her hand, her heart trembling. Then Pharaoh Amasis appeared. He looked at her, not with pity, but with wonder. She was unlike any woman he had ever seen, quiet, graceful, dignified even in her humility. He stepped closer and said softly, "The gods sent your sandal to me, and now they have brought you." He smiled, lifted her chin and whispered, "You shall be my queen." That day, the girl who had been sold as a slave became the queen of Egypt. A girl who once washed clothes by the river now sat beside the ruler of one of the world's greatest empires. People called it a miracle. Poets sang about her beauty and kindness. Travelers carried her story across seas and deserts, and even after centuries, her name, Rhodopis, lived on. As time passed, her story began to change. When it reached China, it became the tale of Ye Shen, the girl whose lost shoe made her a queen. When it spread to Europe, she became Cendrillon, the humble girl who captured a prince's heart. And by the 1600s, a French writer named Charles Perrault turned her story into the fairy tale we know today, Cinderella. Then, in 1950, Disney gave her a new life, with a gown, a pumpkin carriage, a fairy godmother, and a happy ending. But long before that magic and glitter, there was a real girl, a girl who survived, who hoped, and who rose higher than anyone ever believed possible. Rhodopis didn't have a fairy godmother. She had faith. She didn't wait for magic. She believed in destiny. And when fate came flying down from the sky, she was ready. Her story is not about magic. It's about courage, about kindness that endures cruelty, about hope that never dies, even in darkness. Because sometimes the smallest moments can change everything. A lost sandal, a twist of fate, a single act of kindness. They can all rewrite a life. So the next time you hear about Cinderella, remember, before the castle, before the glass slipper, before the prince, there was a real girl, a girl stolen from her home, a girl who was mocked and mistreated, a girl who lost her sandal and found her destiny. Her name was Rhodopis, the real Cinderella, and her story proves one timeless truth. You don't need magic to change your fate. You just need courage, kindness, and the faith to keep believing, even when the world tells you not to. Because sometimes, the greatest fairy tales are the ones that actually happened.